Welcome back to Life Stories Network. Tonight, I want to share something deeply personal, painful, and unforgettable. It's about the Christmas when my parents decided I wasn't welcome at their home. Imagine being their child, yet treated like a stranger during the one season that's supposed to be about love and family. I never thought my own parents would shut me out, but that year, they did. What happened afterward changed not only my Christmas but my entire outlook on family, forgiveness, and what it means to find belonging. I had always believed family was forever. Growing up, Christmas at my parents' house was magical, twinkling lights, the smell of cinnamon in the kitchen, the old fireplace crackling while we laughed over silly board games. But as I got older, things changed. Success brought me distance, and my parents never quite understood me. I bought a ranch worth $5 million, a dream home I worked my entire life for. Instead of being proud, my parents saw it as arrogance. They believed I was showing off, living too far from the simple life they clung to. That year, when I called my mom to ask what time I should come over for Christmas dinner, there was silence on the other end of the line. Then she sighed and said words that cut deeper than I ever imagined. "We think it's best if you don't come this year." My heart sank. I asked why, desperate for an explanation, but she only said, "It's too much stress with you here. You've changed too much." Those words echoed in my head like a curse. Changed too much? I was still their child. Still the boy they raised. But to them, success had built walls between us. The night after that call, I sat in my big, empty ranch house staring at the towering Christmas tree I had decorated alone. Every twinkling light mocked me, whispering that I was unwanted, even by the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. For hours, I fought back tears. I had everything, wealth, land, even a dream home most people only fantasize about. But what did it matter if I had no one to share it with? The loneliness was unbearable. That's when a wild idea sparked in my mind. What if I invited everyone else instead? The next morning, I posted an open invitation online and sent messages to neighbors, old friends, and even acquaintances who didn't have family nearby. Christmas dinner at my ranch, come one, come all. No one should spend Christmas alone. I didn't know what to expect. Part of me feared no one would come, that my house would echo with silence yet again. But by Christmas Eve, responses poured in. Dozens of people said they'd love to join. Some were single parents, others were recent widows, a few were just new to town and had nowhere else to go. My heart swelled knowing I could turn my pain into something meaningful. On Christmas Day, my ranch came alive. Cars lined the driveway, laughter filled the halls, and the smell of roasted turkey, pies, and fresh bread drifted through the air. I watched children race through the yard, their joy lighting up every corner of the property. Strangers became friends around the dining table, sharing stories, tears, and laughter. For the first time in years, my ranch felt like home, not just a mansion filled with luxury, but a place where hearts gathered. I thought to myself, this is what Christmas is supposed to be. But just when I finally started to feel peace, my phone began to buzz. Calls, one after another. At first, I ignored them. I was too busy serving food, pouring drinks, and making sure my guests felt loved. But the calls didn't stop. Finally, I glanced at the screen, and my chest tightened. It was my parents. The same people who had excluded me. The same voices that told me I wasn't welcome. And now, suddenly, they couldn't stop calling. Froze with the phone in my hand, torn between anger and longing. Should I answer? Should I let them hear the laughter in the background, proof that I didn't need them to feel loved? Or should I ignore them, the same way they ignored me when I needed them most? My guests noticed the tension on my face, but I smiled and excused myself, stepping out onto the porch. The cold air bit at my skin as I stared at the glowing screen. With trembling hands, I finally swiped to answer. My father's voice came through first, urgent and emotional. "Son, we heard what you did, inviting everyone over. Your mother and I, well, we want to come too. Is there still room for us?" My breath caught in my throat. My parents, who didn't want me at their table, now wanted a seat at mine. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, or hang up. The mix of emotions inside me was overwhelming, anger for the pain they caused, sadness for the years of misunderstanding, but also a flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, this could heal us. As I stood there, snowflakes falling around me, I realized I had a choice to make. I could hold on to the bitterness, slam the door on them the way they did to me. Or I could take a chance, open my home, my heart, and risk being hurt again. That night, Christmas wasn't just about lights and gifts anymore. It became about something much deeper, forgiveness, redemption, and the power of turning pain into love. I stood frozen on that porch, the phone pressed against my ear as my father's voice echoed in the cold night. The very people who had told me I wasn't welcome, who had slammed the door on me when I needed them most, were now asking to be part of my celebration. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear over the sound of it. I wanted to scream, to remind them of the humiliation, of the loneliness they had caused. Yet, at the same time, a part of me still longed for their acceptance. That's the cruel thing about family, you can't just shut off love, no matter how badly they hurt you. I didn't answer right away. I let the silence stretch until my father's voice cracked. "Son, please. We made a mistake. We thought we were doing the right thing, but now we see what Christmas really means. People told us what you've done, how you opened your doors to everyone. We're proud, even if we didn't say it before. Please let us come." My chest ached. Proud? Where was that pride when I called begging for a place at their table? Where was that love when they told me I had changed too much? I looked through the window into my home. Guests were laughing, clinking glasses, pulling crackers, and sharing joy like they had known each other forever. My ranch, once so cold and empty, was alive with warmth. Did I really want to risk letting my parents back in, knowing they might poison this fragile magic with their judgment? My mother's voice cut in suddenly, trembling. "We're outside, son." My stomach dropped. I turned toward the driveway, and there it was, a familiar old car sitting quietly under the falling snow, headlights dim. They hadn't just called. They had come. For a moment, anger boiled in me. They couldn't just show up like this, after rejecting me so completely. But then, as I watched them step out into the snow, my father holding my mother's arm, both of them shivering in the cold, I felt a wave of memories crash over me. Childhood mornings opening presents by the fire, my mom's laughter when I tore through wrapping paper, my dad's voice reading Christmas stories. These were the same people who had given me those moments, even if they had failed me now. My hands shook as I opened the door. The room fell silent when guests noticed my parents walking up the porch. Everyone seemed to understand the weight of that moment. My mother's eyes glistened with tears as she whispered, "We're sorry. We don't want to lose you." My father's face was pale, his voice barely steady as he said, "We just want to be part of your Christmas. We were wrong." My throat tightened. Part of me wanted to send them away, to make them feel the rejection I had felt. But the other part, the son who still craved his parents' love, wanted to let them in. I stepped aside. "Come in." The words felt heavy, but they left my lips anyway. My parents walked into my ranch, removing their coats nervously, their eyes darting around at the strangers who had filled the space they thought would be empty. My guests welcomed them with warm smiles, but I could feel the tension in the air. Everyone knew this wasn't just about Christmas, it was about years of wounds, years of silence and misunderstanding. Dinner resumed, but something inside me had shifted. Watching my parents sit at the far end of the table, awkward and unsure, I realized I had a choice: let the past define this night or use this night to rewrite our story. I raised my glass and tapped it gently, drawing everyone's attention. "I want to say something," I began, my voice cracking slightly. This Christmas was supposed to be the loneliest of my life. But instead, it has turned into the most meaningful. Tonight, I learned that family isn't just blood, it's the people who show up, the ones who share love, even when life is hard. And sometimes, when we least expect it, even those who hurt us can ask for another chance. The room was quiet. My parents lowered their heads, ashamed but listening. Then, one by one, my guests raised their glasses too. A chorus of clinking filled the air, and tears welled in my eyes. For the first time in years, I felt something shift between me and my parents. Not forgiveness yet, not fully, but the beginning of it. A fragile seed planted in the soil of a cold winter night. After dinner, children played by the tree, adults gathered around the fire, and soft carols filled the air. My parents sat with me in the corner, fumbling for words. My mother finally spoke, her voice raw. "We didn't know how to handle your success. We thought we were losing you to a world we didn't understand. We thought by pushing you away, we could protect ourselves from the pain of not belonging in your life anymore. But we see now we only pushed you further." My father nodded, his eyes glassy. "We were wrong, son. Can you forgive us?" The question lingered in the air, heavier than any gift under the tree. Could I forgive them? Forgiveness doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't undo the nights I spent feeling unwanted. But maybe it could heal something broken inside me. I looked at them, really looked, two aging parents who were just as scared of being left behind as I was of being abandoned. And for the first time, I didn't see villains. I saw human beings, flawed and fragile. "I don't know if I can forgive you tonight," I admitted softly. "But I can try. And maybe that's enough for now." Tears streamed down my mother's cheeks as she reached out and held my hand. My father placed his hand on top of ours. The three of us sat there, bound by love and hurt, by mistakes and second chances. For the first time in years, I felt a spark of hope that we might find our way back to each other. The night grew late, and guests began to leave with hugs and promises to meet again. My parents stayed behind, helping clean up dishes, folding blankets, and quietly trying to show they belonged. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't easy, but it was a start. As the fire burned low and the house fell quiet, I realized this Christmas would forever be remembered, not as the year my parents excluded me, but as the year they showed up at my door, asking for a second chance. And yet, as I lay in bed that night, exhaustion pulling at me, my phone buzzed again. A new call. Unknown number. My heart skipped a beat. Who could it be now? Little did I know, the real story, the one that would change everything even more, was just about to begin. The sound of that phone buzzing in the middle of the night sent a chill down my spine. I was already drained from the whirlwind of emotions, and the last thing I wanted was another call. But curiosity got the better of me. I reached for the phone and answered, my voice low and hesitant. "Hello?" At first, there was silence. Then, a shaky voice whispered, "Is this the man who opened his ranch for Christmas?" My chest tightened. "Yes, who is this?" The voice belonged to an older woman, frail but filled with emotion. She said she had seen my invitation too late, that she had spent Christmas alone, and hearing what I had done made her cry. "I just wanted to say thank you," she said, her voice breaking. I sat there in the darkness, clutching the phone, tears filling my eyes. This woman didn't even know me, yet she felt the impact of what had happened in my home that night. "You don't have to be alone," I told her softly. "If you'd like, tomorrow you can come by. I'll make sure there's food, and company, and warmth." She gasped, overwhelmed by the offer, and promised she would come. As I hung up, something in me shifted again. That Christmas had started with rejection, but it was ending with connection not just with my parents, but with strangers who were becoming family. The next morning, the woman arrived. Her name was Evelyn. She was dressed in a worn coat, her steps slow but determined. My parents and I welcomed her at the door. As she walked inside, her eyes filled with wonder at the decorated tree, the glowing fire, and the table still full of leftovers. "It feels like home," she whispered. I realized then that my pain had created something bigger than me, a place where anyone could belong. My parents watched quietly, their expressions softening as they saw me embrace someone who had once been a stranger. Over the following days, something remarkable happened. Word spread about the Christmas at the ranch. Neighbors I barely knew came by with pies and gifts, strangers stopped to thank me, and letters arrived from people who had read about it online. It wasn't just a holiday gathering anymore, it was a movement. A message that no one should ever feel excluded, not even by their own family. And as this new family grew around me, my parents began to see me in a different light, not as someone who had changed too much, but as someone who had found a way to bring change to others. One evening, as the snow continued to fall and the fire warmed the room, my father spoke quietly. "You've built something here, son. Something we didn't understand. We thought success meant you were leaving us behind. But now we see, you were trying to build a place where no one would ever feel left behind again." We were blind. My mother nodded, her hand trembling as she reached for mine. "We're so sorry for shutting you out. We were afraid of losing you. But maybe it was us who needed to find our way back." Tears filled my eyes again, but this time they weren't from pain, they were from healing. "I needed you," I whispered. "All I ever wanted was for you to be proud, to accept me for who I am. Not for the money, not for the ranch, but for the heart I carry inside me. The same heart you raised." For the first time in years, my father's arms wrapped around me in a tight embrace, my mother joining him. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. In that moment, I felt something I thought I had lost forever, the feeling of truly being their son again. But the story didn't end there. As weeks passed, my ranch became a gathering place, not just for Christmas, but for birthdays, anniversaries, and random Saturday nights when someone didn't want to be alone. People brought their kids, their friends, even their elderly parents. We laughed, we cried, we shared meals and stories. My parents, once hesitant and judgmental, became part of it too. My mom baked pies for the children, my dad taught the teenagers how to build a fire in the snow. Slowly, they became not just my parents again, but grandparents, neighbors, and friends to a whole community. One night, as the stars lit up the endless Texas sky above the ranch, my father sat beside me on the porch. He looked older than I remembered, his face etched with lines of regret and wisdom. "Son," he said softly, "I don't deserve this second chance. But you gave it to us anyway. Thank you for opening your home when we shut ours to you. You've taught me more than I ever taught you." I couldn't stop the tears. All I could do was squeeze his hand and whisper, "I just wanted my family back. That's all I ever wanted. And that's the lesson I'll carry forever." Sometimes, the people closest to us hurt us the deepest. Sometimes, the rejection cuts so sharp we think we'll never recover. But if we can find it in our hearts to forgive, not forget, but forgive, we open the door to something bigger than ourselves. That Christmas, I learned that love doesn't always come in the way we expect. It comes in second chances, in strangers who become family, and in parents who finally realize what really matters. To anyone listening tonight, if you've ever felt excluded, unloved, or unwanted, remember this, your worth isn't defined by who shuts you out. It's defined by the love you're willing to give, even when it hurts. And sometimes, by giving that love freely, you'll find it coming back to you in ways you never imagined. My story started with rejection, but it ended with a ranch full of laughter, forgiveness, and a community that continues to grow every single day. So, if you take anything from my story, let it be this: don't let bitterness steal your joy. Don't let rejection make you believe you're unworthy. Instead, create your own table, open your own doors, and invite love in. Because when you do, miracles happen. They happened for me on a snowy Christmas night, and they can happen for you too.